Epithelial tissues are derived from ectoderm, mesoderm, and endoderm. All the three germ layers, that epithelial tissue which can be formed out. Then after we went through the connective tissue, we said connective tissue that developed from embryonic mesoderm. Okay. Now again, all the muscular tissue, with little exception, that all the muscular tissues are derived from mesoderm. Okay, so that's it. There is the first thing you need to remember in case of muscular tissue. And then there are three types of muscles to be learned over here, that all the total body, in our body, that we say there are three types of muscles are present in our body. Okay, so what are they? Skeletal muscles, skeletal muscles, smooth muscles, cardiac muscles. We learn some baselines for all the three. Then after, we'll go with the detailed explanation of each and every one. The baseline, skeletal muscle. So now I am taking why the name given like so. That means we start from here. The skeletal muscle, why it is given like so. The skeletal muscle, the name is given like because they are attached to the bones. They are attached to the bones. Hence we call skeletal muscle. So that's it. That is very important. They are attached to the bones. Hence we call skeletal muscle. The name given like so. Okay. Then next, skeletal. Then next, visceral muscle. We used to have a name called visceral muscle. So what is visceral muscle? Why it is called visceral muscle? The smooth muscles are called visceral muscles. Why? Because they are mostly present in, because they are mostly present in visceral organs. Okay, so that's why what do you say them as visceral muscles? That's why we called it as visceral muscles. Okay, because they are mostly present in visceral organs. That's why they call visceral muscle. Next, cardiac muscles. What is the meaning of cardiac muscle? Cardiac. Cardiac muscle means heart. Okay, so the muscles present in the walls of the heart. These muscles present in the wall of heart. Hence, we call them as cardiac muscles. Okay, so reason to say skeletal muscle. These muscles are said to be attached to the bones. If you remember, we said attachment of the muscle to the bone is possible by
Tendons.
tendon.
Tendon.
Yeah. So we are talking about these muscles only at the time, skeletal muscle. So here, smooth muscle, because they are mostly present in the visceral organs, that's why we call them as visceral muscles. Then these muscles are present in the cardiac muscles. That's why we say cardiac, because they are present in the wall of the heart. Okay, so myocardium, we used to say that particular wall. Okay, so that's it. That about the first difference between the skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Okay, next. Next, one more difference. We'll go with the skeletal muscle is skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Yeah, skeletal muscle. The muscle fiber, we use it to say cell generally. The muscle fiber, if you look towards the muscle fiber, that each muscle fiber will have many myofibrils, and that myofibril will have striations due to the arrangement of the special type of filaments, thick and thin filaments regularly, they have striations. And next, multinucleated condition is seen over the blue which I am doing, that is nucleus. Multinucleated condition is seen over. Many nucleus are present. So showing the cell of a skeletal muscle. So we use it to say generally as a muscle fiber, skeletal muscle fiber. Okay, so that is called muscle fiber. Okay. Then now let us see how the smooth muscle fiber can be seen over the smooth muscle fiber. So how it is. The smooth muscle fiber is spindle shaped muscle fiber. It is smooth muscle fiber will have only single nucleus, only one nucleus. Here you see many nucleus are present. All these are nucleus only. Okay. So many nucleus here. Here only one nucleus present. And this is smooth because like skeletal muscle, there is no striations. No striations. So that makes the difference here. So what difference? Thick and thin filaments are arranged regularly. Thick and thin filaments are arranged irregularly. So that we need to remember. Okay, so I'll write here. Thick and thin filaments, if they arrange, thick and thin filaments are arranged regularly, you will get stripes. How? That we'll discuss when we go to the muscle contraction. That we'll discuss detail. But till the time you need to remember, thick and thin filaments are arranged regularly. Hence stripes. Hence stripes. Hence stripes. And that's the reason we use it to say these muscles are striated muscles. These muscles are called striated muscle. Why these muscles are called striated muscle? Thick and thin filaments are arranged regularly. So that makes stripes. That's why these are called striated muscle. So here, thick and thin filaments are present here also, but they are not arranged regularly. Thick and thin filaments are arranged irregularly. Let me reduce the font. Yeah, yeah. Thick and thin filaments arranged irregularly. So how their arrangement make regular arrangement make the striations, that we have to go for the detailed depth learning is there in muscle contraction when we are going to learn. But till the time we just make me that believe me here that if they arrange regularly, they are striated. If they arrange irregularly, they will be smooth muscles, we say. What about cardiac muscle? Okay, so let us see how it is in cardiac muscle. In case of cardiac muscle, that almost it look like the striated here, that almost it is look like striated, but there is some speciality here. They're arranged like a network. They're not arranged individually. That these cardiac muscle fibers are arranged like a network. That means one cardiac muscle fiber to the another cardiac muscle fiber, that we have as a special connection. The connection we say intercalated disc. The connection is called intercalated disc. So the disc, intercalated disc is only making the flow of ions from one cardiac muscle fiber to the another cardiac muscle fiber. Okay, if you remember, we just discussed in the junctions. It's a gap junction, isn't it? Okay, then what about the arrangement of thick and thin filament? Here even the same. Let me decrease the size. Yeah, here even the same. Striations, the myofibrils are present here. These myofibrils are making striations. Striations are here even present. I'll show you the striation. Arrangement of thick and thin filaments, regular. Here also we'll see. So what do you say? These are also striated muscles. We can say these are even striated. Striated muscles. A little font increase. Okay, so when we call striated muscles, as it's there on the screen, the thick and thin filaments are arranged regularly, hence stripes, hence we call it as striated muscles. So why should we get confused? I'll write there also the same information. Thick and thin filaments are arranged regularly in both skeletal muscle and cardiac muscle, hence stripes. Hence, we called it as striated muscle. So that's the story. Okay, so that's skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscle. Skeletal, smooth, and cardiac muscle. Okay, so this is the story. We have some more here. We'll learn here only. I think it's better to take a screenshot that all the three diagrams in one place, thick and thin filaments regularly, and thick and thin filaments arranged regularly in smooth muscle and cardiac muscle. Some more here. That here only I'll write voluntary in nature. Skeletal muscles are voluntary in nature. Okay, so shall we make here with another color? Yeah, voluntary in nature. What is meant by voluntary? That they are in our control. That means you can raise your hand, isn't it? You can raise your hand, you can raise your leg. That means wherever a part of the body you can move, that we can say that part is voluntary. Okay, so you can raise your hand, but can you give information for to your stomach or intestine where the smooth muscles are present? No. So that means they are involuntary. Can you give information to your heart to stop for a while? Even though you give information, will they listen? No. So that means cardiac muscles are also involuntary. That the skeletal muscles are controlled by CNS, Central Nervous System, brain. That involuntary muscles are controlled by autonomous nervous system. Okay, autonomous nervous system. Next, cardiac muscles are even controlled. That actually, nobody will control them actually, but a little regulation by autonomous nervous system. Because in cardiac muscle fiber, we have a special feature itself in the human body. We have a special feature. The cardiac muscle fibers of one particular place are modified and the modified into a structure called pacemaker. We use it to say pacemaker. This pacemaker is only regulating their own heartbeat. Pacemaker is regulating the heartbeat. So in the form of keywords, you have to remember these particular muscles. Keywords, what it means, that why these are called skeletal muscles. So I'll go to the next page to make our own keywords, what you learned till the time. So we'll frame the basic lines. Okay, equality is required. We'll make the partition into three parts here. The names we learn till the time. So the muscles we call skeletal muscle. And these skeletal muscles are only even called striated muscles. And these striated muscles are even called voluntary muscles. Skeletal, striated, voluntary muscles. Okay, then here. So based on the location, we call them as visceral muscle. Based on the presence of thick and thin filaments arrangement, we call them as unstriated or smooth muscles. And they are their movement wise, they are involuntary muscles. Okay. So that these three things will end at present now. Okay. Then next, they are based on the presence, we say them as they are cardiac muscles. And by the presence of thick and thin filaments or regular arrangement, they are striated. And they are not in our control. That's why, what do you say? They are invalid. So that's it. These three, these are very, very important in the examination, NEET examination point of view. We have some more issues to learn, but arrangement wise, this is very, very important. Okay. So next, uh, remaining issues we'll see. The skeletal muscles arranged in the form of bundles. Skeletal muscles arranged because it is there in our bodies. I think so that you got an idea what exactly and where exactly I'm saying. Whatever the body part you can move, whatever the bone, that bone surrounded by muscle, whatever present, that is skeletal muscle, that is striated skeletal variant. Okay, and no need to search for the location of cardiac muscle. It's there in the heart wall, no doubt about it. Other than the heart wall, you don't find anywhere. Okay. Next, in the same way, visceral or unstriated or smooth muscle. I said now, visceral organ. Who are the visceral organ? Major visceral organ in the abdomen, stomach, intestine, the total alimentary canal, esophagus, that most part of the esophagus, stomach, intestine, all are made of visceral muscles. Okay. So here, how does the arrangement of the muscles is happening? Skeletal muscles arranged in the form of bundles. Visceral muscle arranged in the form of yes, visceral muscles or unstriated muscles or smooth muscles are arranged in the form of sheaths. In the form of sheaths. Okay. So next, the cardiac muscles. As I said to you now, the cardiac muscles arranged in the form of network. Cardiac muscles arranged in the form of network. Okay. Next, the skeletal muscles. The skeletal muscles work fast. Actually, they work fast, but undergo fatigue. అలసిపోతాయి. The skeletal muscles work fast, but they undergo fatigue. Visceral muscles. Visceral muscles, they rhythmically they work. Peristaltic movements, if you remember. They don't work fast, they don't work slow. They work accordingly. That means when you are eating food material from the esophagus to the stomach to the intestine, in a rhythm they'll go. That nobody control them because we said they are involuntary. Okay, so peristaltic movements, we say, and work slow. So that's why fatigue is also rare. Fatigue rare, we say. Next, cardiac muscle, rhythmic movements. We are talking about heartbeat, which is possible by this cardiac muscles only. Rhythmic movements, isn't it? The rhythmic movements of the cardiac muscle, and these rhythmic movements, what do you say? Heartbeat. So now I can expect here uh, answer from you. Work rhythmically. Work rhythmically. So about fatigue, I want answer from you.
Undergo fatigue.
Undergo fatigue. So I am expecting answer from you because whether you understand this properly or not. Do you know what is undergoing fatigue? Undergoing fatigue means heart will be stopped then. So once in the lifetime, that is the end of life, isn't it? So that's why you should not say fatigue. అలసిపోవడం అలసిపోవడం. ఇప్పుడు for example, when you run, when you run continuously, your what happens to your legs? Your legs will be collapsed continuously if you run, or somebody is chasing you like a dog or a tiger or lion. That means they are chasing you when you are running. So and one particular area will be exhausted over. That's what you are saying fatigue. That I am saying fatigue. Okay. So whereas if you say heart undergo fatigue, that means heart is stopped. The heart is stopped, that is the end of life. So that's why once in a lifetime we used to say, but we should not write like that. No fatigue. Work rhythmically, no fatigue. Okay. So that's it. About the regeneration power. In case of skeletal muscles, regeneration is possible little bit actually. Regeneration is possible by a special kind of cells. What do you say? Satellite cells. Satellite cells are making regeneration. Regeneration by special kind of cells called the satellite cell. Next, in case of visceral muscle, regeneration is by pericytes. Regeneration is by pericytes. That special kind of cell. Here also very limited regeneration and no regeneration at all in the case of cardiac muscle. That means if any damage occurs, that's over. That's all. That there is no any replacement for the heart muscle. In ourselves, natural replacement. I am talking about that nowadays that we are making implanting a pacemaker or something else advancement in the technology that we have. So that about the work style and about the arrangement of the structure anatomy of the muscle fibers as we are seeing here, and then we continue with individual description of the each and every muscle. So if you want to take, you can take a screenshot of these. Differences are going to be the question. So these first three, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. These are very, very, very important. Okay. So now let's go into the topic here. Then we close this area. The muscular tissue. Muscular tissue are mesodermal in origin. Muscular tissue is mesodermal in origin. That is to be remembered first. The muscular tissue is mesodermal in origin. We have some exception actually. We have some exception. What is the exception here? Except the iris muscles and ciliary body, muscles of the ciliary body, because they are ectodermal in origin. Then except them, all the remaining muscles are going to be mesodermal in origin. Muscles show three essential properties like excitability, conductibility, and contractility. Muscles show three essential properties such as excitability, conductivity, and contractility that we look forward. What are they and how that properties will run over? Muscle fibers contract. That means they get shortened in response to the stimulation, then relax, lengthen, or return to their uncontracted state in a coordinated fashion. That we can feel itself here that we can't, muscle contraction and relaxation. Muscles play an active role in the movements of the body to adjust the changes with the surrounding environment and to maintain the posture of the body along with the bone. Study of muscular tissue is known as myology. Muscular tissue, the study of muscular tissue is known as myology. Then the muscular tissue has elongated cells called as muscle fiber. Elongated cells of the muscular tissue are called muscle fiber or myocytes, we use it to say, which are surrounded by a connective tissue sheath. Which are surrounded by a connective tissue sheath with an extracellular matrix is absent. Then the plasma membrane of a muscle fiber is called sarcolemma. The cytoplasm of a muscle fiber is called sarcoplasm. Endoplasmic reticulum is called sarcoplasmic reticulum. Mitochondria is called sarcosome. The cytoplasm of a muscle fiber has myofibril. Each myofibril has thick and thin myofilament. This regular arrangement of the myosin and actin filaments only responsible for the alternative dark and light bands of a striated muscle. Okay, so the total story here, that arrangement of the story is actually striated muscles that you need to understand. The sarcoplasm also contains ATP, phosphocreatine, glycogen, and myoglobin. Okay, so that to be remembered over that side. Muscles are of three types: skeletal, smooth, and cardiac. Okay, so then let's start the skeletal muscle. It is usually attached to the skeletal structures by tendons. The skeletal muscle property attached to the skeletal structures, bones, by tendons. In a typical muscle, such as biceps and hand, the skeletal muscle fiber is surrounded by a thin connective tissue sheath, endomysium, a bundle of muscle fiber, fascicle, surrounded by a connective tissue sheath called perimysium. Then a group of fascicle form a muscle which is surrounded by epimysium. Okay, these connective tissue layers may extend beyond the muscles to form a cord-like tendon. Tendon we said already. Sometimes a sheet like aponeurosis. Okay, you may feel so I am running faster here. This box. For this box and the box that the information which made here, this area. Okay, these to be visualized over. Otherwise, you don't feel, you don't get actually. So that's why we made a little faster there. Now, let us, I am trying to visualize this. Is actually we are going to learn complete details in second year when we go for muscle contraction. This is the transverse section of the muscle I am showing. In the transverse section of the muscle, the muscle bundles are present. These bundles are called fascicles. Okay, each fascicle is having a muscle fiber. That means some number of muscle fibers are present. So that what I'm drawing here, the muscle fiber. Each muscle fiber is surrounded by a membrane called endomysium. The black one, which I am showing, that is endomysium, like this, endomysium. Okay, so from outside, we need to come through. What is this? First of all, let me announce. What is this? This is the transverse section of a muscle. Okay. In muscle, the outer layer is called epimysium. Muscle is covered by epimysium or perimysium, as they said in text. Epimysium or perimysium. Then a muscle include many fascicles, or each fasciculi plural, fascicle singular. That fascicle. Then each fascicle contain many muscle fibers. Each fascicle contain many muscle fibers. Okay. Oh, wait, we lost it. Okay. Each fascicle is surrounded by a membrane called mm, perimysium. Each fascicle is surrounded by a membrane called perimysium. Okay, then all the fasciculi are surrounded by epimysium. That you need to understand. Okay, then individual muscle fibers are surrounded by endomysium. Little it seems to be confusing, so I'll make it bigger diagram. Now, in the transverse section of the muscle, epimysium. These are the fascicles I'm drawing. So this side I'll make it perimysium. Next, one more with the red itself I'm drawing. That endomysium. That means the muscle surrounded by epimysium. Muscles contain fascicles. The fascicles are individually having perimysium and it contains. So where is our hero? That means muscle. This is here. The blue one, which I am doing. That is muscle fiber. So what I drawn then? What I drawn then? That is muscle. So that means you need to understand there is a difference between the muscle and muscle fiber. You may called it as a single one earlier. Now getting into the topic, you need to understand this blue one. This is muscle fiber. Okay, muscle fiber. Okay, if you see a muscle fiber in microscope, it will be seen like this, as we discussed earlier. A muscle fiber which contain that many myofibrils, as I shown to you earlier, myofibrils. And the cytoplasm here called sarcoplasm. Cytoplasm here said to me sarcoplasm. Endoplasmic reticulum of here called sarcoplasmic reticulum. Mitochondria is called sarcosome. Okay, so the language is different in case that muscle, the membrane we say sarcolemma. I am writing here. I am writing with your permission. This is sarcolemma. And here, endoplasmic reticulum, particularly called as sarcoplasmic reticulum. Next, mitochondria is particularly called sarcosome. And cytoplasm is called sarcoplasm. Rest of the things you know. This is multinucleated, isn't it? Many nuclei are present. Many nuclei. Multinucleated condition we have seen earlier. Okay. So now I think it is visualized. Let's go back and let's check there once again. So as we said, the cytoplasm of a muscle fiber is called sarcoplasm. Endoplasmic reticulum is called sarcoplasmic reticulum. And the mitochondria is called sarcosome. It contains many myofibrils. So that myofibril, that I have to show you, myofibril. Who are myofibril? These blue lines which I drawn there, they are called myofibril. They are even called myofibril. You don't have right from here that we need to continue in the locomotion and movement chapter in second year that we have to start here. Then the regular arrangement of myosin and actin. In these myofibrils only actin and myosin filaments are present. Their regular arrangement make that striations that appear look like striated. Okay, so that's what we just talked about. So now you will be able to understand these things. Epimysium, outer layer of the muscle. Okay, perimysium. Below that, each fascicle surrounded by perimysium. Endomysium, that each muscle fiber surrounded by endomysium. Let me draw here. This is muscle fiber. It is surrounded by endomysium. Okay, all these are collectively called fasciculi. Fascicle. All the fascicles are collectively called muscle. So this is surrounded by epimysium. This is surrounded by perimysium, and individual muscle fibers surrounded by endomysium. So that's it. Attachment we know already, tendon and sheet-like aponeurosis. Okay, now let's close it. We said multinucleated with the many oval nuclei in the peripheral cytoplasm. We call the condition as syncytium. Having multinucleated condition, we say syncytium. The sarcoplasm has many myofibrils which show alternate dark and light or thick and thin filaments which makes the dark and light bands. That dark and light bands will make the striated appearance. Okay, so these skeletal muscles usually work under the conscious control of organism. That's why we call voluntary muscle. The skeletal muscle contracts quickly and undergoes fatigue quickly. They are innervated by the somatic nervous system, the central nervous system portion that our will are controlled. Satellite cells are the quiescent, that inactive actually, they are quiet, mononucleate myogenic cells, but they can generate the muscle cells when a kind of damage or anything happen, but up to a certain limit only and help in regeneration. Okay, so that same way we need to move with the smooth muscles or unstriped muscle or involuntary muscle. They are located in the walls of visceral organs such as blood vessel, trachea, bronchi, stomach, intestine, and excretory and genital duct. So that's why we call it as visceral muscle. Okay. The no cross striations. That's why we call them as smooth muscles. It is also found in the iris and ciliary body of eye. In our eye, whatever the muscles present in the eye, iris and ciliary body, which are actually derived from ectoderm, isn't it? And the skin has erector pili muscles. Interesting muscles. Erector pili muscles. And what very interesting that you may have felt over when you are under stress or when you are under exciting condition, your hair will become straight on the hands and legs, isn't it? So that is because of these erector pili muscles only. The muscles which are associated with the hair follicle. If you want, you can't do this. You can try. Yeah, you can't make your own hair straight, isn't it? So that erector pili muscles, these are smooth muscles actually. It's the muscles which are associated with the hair follicle. So under the winter season or under some exciting conditions, your hair becomes straight. So what do you say this as? People use more frequently. Hair becomes straight. Not like this, I don't think so. The students will use this word. What's that word? Erector pili muscles make the hair straight, which are attached to the hair follicle. So no, any one of you are not using this word. We call them as goosebumps.
Goosebumps.
Yeah. Now we added erector pili muscles to them. At least we know, we came to know. Being a BPC student, we came to know the reason of why you can't lift your own hair straight, and we can't make our own hair straight. Why? Because they are smooth muscle. They are involuntary muscle. They are not at all in our control. Okay. So usually smooth muscles are arranged in layers or sheets. A smooth muscle fiber is spindle shaped that I shown in the diagram to you, and uninucleate cell. Myofibril do not show alternate dark and light bands due to the irregular arrangement of the myosin and actin molecule. These are the heroes actually in the next session. That means when we go for muscle contraction, actin and myosin molecule. They do not work under the conscious control. They are not in our control. That's why we call them as involuntary muscle. They work slow, the smooth muscle, and prolonged contractions is their specialty. That means in the contraction state for a longer period of time, they can remain. They may remain contracted state for longer period without fatigue or very slow, sustained involuntary contractions. We see. They show sustained involuntary contraction. We call spasms. That a kind of convulsions we can see. The contraction of smooth muscles is under the control of autonomous nervous system. Because that's why we said we are not in our will or control. Okay. Then next, the cardiac muscle fiber. About the cardiac muscle fiber. So let me close this as we already learned. The cardiac muscle fiber is striated like skeletal. They show sarcomeres. What is sarcomere? Will be continued over in the muscle contraction. So just remember. Then the cardiac muscles found in the myocardium of the heart. That is very important to remember. And they are short, they are cylindrical, they are mononucleate or binucleate cells whose ends branch and form junctions with other cardiac muscle cells. Each myocardial cell is joined to an adjacent myocardial cell by electrical synapses or gap junction. What do you call them as? That intercalated is. They permit electrical impulses to be conducted along the long axis of the cardiac muscle fiber. The dark line across the cardiac muscle fiber, we call them as intercalated discs. The discs are characteristic of the cardiac muscle. That means we say them as communication junctions, which allow the cells to contract as a unit. The intercalated disc contains three different types of cell junctions that they have gap junctions which are responsible for the rapid conduction of the action potential. Simply, in first year, you can remember like this: one cardiac muscle fiber to the another cardiac muscle fiber. There, some communication is running. This communication makes over that the transfer of cardiac contractions, the contractions of the cardiac muscle fiber, which is possible by the passage of calcium ions from one cardiac muscle fiber to the another cardiac muscle fiber. So you get 2 minutes time, just be patient. So that is the issue. And the cardiac muscles of vertebrates does not require any nerve stimulus to contract because they are self-generated. That means a part of the cardiac muscle fiber is getting modified into pacemaker, as I said earlier. They are only initiating the heartbeats. Okay, little control of autonomous nervous system is there, but that they are self-control. 72 beats done by them only. What do you call that modified cardiac muscle fiber is that pacemaker. Muscle itself generating the heartbeat. That's why we say myogenic heart. Okay. As such, the cardiac muscle is involuntary in its function. Then, however, the rate of heartbeat, that means here, the heartbeat in general, they only raise modified cardiac muscle fiber pacemaker. So up to 72 to 75 beats generated itself by the pacemaker in normal conditions. Imagine by the sympathetic nervous system or epinephrine and norepinephrine, when they raise the heartbeat, they can raise up to 100 and they down back to 75. But no any system can make heartbeat from 75 to 0 because they are only generating electrical impulses they are making. So that is the advantage of pacemaker. That is the advantage of our heart become myogenic. Okay, so that means no involvement of your brain. Simply we are saying here. Details will learn in second year. So the excitation of one myocardial cell results the excitation of all other myocardial cells quickly to produce whole-hearted contraction. The entire muscle works as a single unit. Thus, the cardiac muscle is described as functional syncytium. One muscle is working coordinately with other muscle. That's why we consider it as functional sensation. That coordination is possible by whom? Intercalated discs. Okay. So then the cardiac muscle is highly resistant to fatigue because it has numerous sarcosomes. Mitochondria are more there, and many molecules of myoglobin, oxygen storing pigment, and rich supply of blood, which facilitate continuous aerobic respiration, oxygen respiration, respiration with oxygen, we call aerobic respiration. Okay, so that is because we say that they should not undergo fatigue, isn't it? So that's it about the cardiac muscle fibers. And we need to continue with the nervous tissue in the next class. But